I, 28 female, lost my wife, M, 2 years ago in an accident when our son was an infant. Throughout our entire relationship, from ages 20 to 26, she was very open about how her parents didn't accept her and that she'd given up on offering an olive branch. However, she seemed to have made peace with the fact that they weren't around anymore, and my family always embraced her with open arms, so she still had some support regardless. When we had our son, M told me that she didn't want her parents to know anything about our child, even through the grapevine. She had let her mom and dad know that we were getting married a few years prior, but they didn't respond very well to the news, so she didn't think they would change their tune. If they ever managed to hear about our son's birth, they never contacted us to say anything about it. They didn't come to the funeral. I invited them because I thought they might want to be there. She was their only child, and I assumed that any animosity they had about how she lived would have been overshadowed by the loss of her in general. I heard nothing from them for 2 years, until a few weeks ago when I got a message request on Facebook from M's mother. She said she and her husband wanted to know more about our son and me, so she invited me to get a cup of coffee since they were in town. I agreed to meet them to talk, but I left my son at home with my sister. They looked a little disappointed when I got there, and he wasn't with me, but they didn't say anything about that at first. Instead, they started off with a few normal questions: how we met, what M's life was like, and what our wedding was like. Then they started asking about when they could spend time with our son, because they had a right to as his grandparents. I told them my wife had made it very clear that she didn't want them to know anything about our baby. I felt like I was already betraying M's wishes by agreeing to meet with them and even showing them pictures of him, so the idea of them meeting him was a little too much for me at the time. I said I needed to take a bit to think about whether or not I'd allow that. They both seemed upset about it, and they started to argue with me. So I shut the conversation down and said I'd contact them again when I decided. I went home and told my sister what happened, and she said that she understood I wanted to listen to M's wishes, but she's gone now, and her parents may have changed. She felt it would be wrong of me to stop them from having a relationship with their daughter's only child. She also said that I was making it harder on myself by avoiding people who could help me raise my son, since now I'm doing it on my own. I don't want to betray M. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. They didn't come to their own daughter's funeral. Screw this request. The fact that these people already feel entitled to some kind of relationship when they had none with their daughter and didn't come to say goodbye is all the information you need to ensure they stay out of your life forever. This is not about betraying your wife. This is about protecting your son. My guess is they found out there was a child and want a do-over. Agree with all of this. It doesn't sound like they've changed at all. The way it's written, they're demanding this access, not even trying to build a relationship first. I would suggest that you begin to gather any documentation you can about her wishes and behavior. You also need to be sure that you're legally the parent. You should also consult an attorney ASAP. That way you will have someone already lined up familiar with the situation when the parents decide to start something. And I'm pretty sure that they will. Do not listen to your sister. Your wife knew them. You don't. People don't generally change that much. Don't let them turn your son against you. That's their goal, you know. Turn them against your lifestyle and you to get your son, take custody, raise him, make him their do-over child. As of now, your family is in danger. Update. Am I the idiot for wanting to stay true to my wife's wishes? I figured I might give an update, as it's pretty much been handled now. But first, I do want to say thanks to all of you who offered your responses. Most of you were very kind, which I appreciated more than you know. My son and I went and brought M flowers and sat with her for a while. Little man fell asleep while we were there, so I had a minute to clear my head and think things through. I listened to your suggestions and took a minute to consider what further action I could take, and if those actions would honor what M would want and benefit our son. I contacted M's mother to inform her that because our son is biologically mine, they don't maintain any legal right to see him. I'm not interested in starting some unnecessary battle either. I also said that M made it very clear when she was still here that she didn't want our son to know them. She had made that choice because of how they treated her in the past and was only willing to change her mind if they had tried to grow as people. So it makes little sense for me to allow them into his life if they've not done that. I told her goodbye and I wished her well. She responded and said that she understood why M made such a firm decision because she and her husband did things they could never take back or make up for. She told me she regretted every choice she's ever made to make her daughter feel as though she wasn't loved. She also said that M's dad was the one who decided for them not to attend the funeral. He didn't want to go for reasons she didn't specify, but it's not hard to figure it out. And because she's been a housewife for pretty much her entire marriage, I'm assuming she didn't have the resources to get a plane ticket to fly here. She left it off by telling me that the only person who could forgive her wasn't here anymore to hear her say sorry. However, she still wanted me to know how much she wished she had said it before, and that for the sake of honoring what M wanted, neither she nor her husband would be trying to contact me again. I'm very thankful that there was no serious conflict or anything like that, and that M's mom was civil about it, but I wish M had been here to receive the apologies. She had accepted that she couldn't change them, but she still wished that they would eventually see the light and repair their relationship. She deserved to know they came to regret what they'd done, or that her mom regrets it at the very least. You did good, honey. I'm sorry M couldn't hear this apology from her mom, but I'm glad you set clear boundaries on their non-involvement in your son's future. I think M would be very proud of you. Sad that mom didn't or couldn't stand up to her husband for her daughter. She wasn't on board with the decisions made by the dad. She probably went along because it was an abusive relationship. Yes, it was crappy behavior, but who are you to judge unless you were in a similar situation? Maybe OP could reach out to mom privately and share a few pics of the kid. Who knows? Maybe that would inspire mom to dump the idiot husband. I, 46 female, am a mother of 5 and am 5 months pregnant. I have twin girls, who I'll call Lisa and Sophia, tween. My youngest boy, Joshua, nearly adult. My baby girl, Emily, who's 1. And my oldest son, Danny, 21. We were on a trip to Hawaii a few weeks ago. My husband didn't come because of an unexpected work emergency, but he told us to have fun. My twins cried a lot, so my son Joshua and I comforted them, but Danny stood doing nothing. We had so many fun things planned to do with their father, but since he couldn't come, we didn't end up doing much. But whatever we did, except eat, Danny was absent from it. For example, going to the beach, banana boats, luau's, and watching his younger sisters when they just wanted to go to the pool. He'd stay in his room on his phone, chatting with his friends. The next week of vacation, I was stressed with Danny. I hated putting most of the work on Josh because he wanted to have fun too, and my daughters helped with the baby. I called him down to help, but he said he wanted to relax and chill, when we literally came here to relax, chill, and have fun. However, we weren't having lots of fun with less help, a crying baby, 2 tweens who wanted to go to the pool, but had to do what I had the capability of doing while carrying, and my other son who tried to get away from his sisters for at least an hour. It was a mess. I shouted at him, "If you can't step up and help the woman who gave birth to you, lets you live in her house rent-free while giving you a job, whose money you just spend on silly games, instead of getting an apartment, then you can get out of my house and pay for your own stuff." He looked shocked and left, and just about an hour after, my sister-in-law and my in-laws called, asking me why I'd shouted at my son when he did nothing. I told them, yeah, he's been doing nothing except eating and chatting in his room with his silly friends, instead of helping out his mother and siblings, and I hung up. When we returned from our vacation, my husband yelled at our son for not helping and sent him up to his room. Lots of our family are on my side, but my in-laws think that I was in the wrong. So, am I the idiot? It was your choice to give birth to 5 kids, not Danny's. And you gave birth to 5 kids, not 1 kid and 4 babysitters. What exactly are you doing in this story, except for being pregnant? Again, stop popping them out if you can't handle so many. And I say this as a parent, LMAO. You are the idiot. Come on, dude, don't say that. OP didn't come here to hear about how neglectful she is and how much she's parentifying her children and using them for babysitting. Dude, she fed them and let them live for free under her roof. so they must serve her open factory uterus. At what age can she stop offering adult children free housing and trips to Hawaii? The son is 21. Will he ever be an adult in your eyes? Apparently not soon, since her dear husband sent Danny to his room when they got home. He sent a 21-year-old to his room. When are you going to treat him like a full-grown adult? That being said, if I was Danny, I'd probably have a job and move out. Wait, everyone. OP is not the idiot. The adult son has been given a free trip to Hawaii and asked to take his sisters to the pool because mom doesn't have dad to help watch the kids. I don't see anything wrong with a bit of babysitting or everyone working together as a team. I wouldn't expect a tween to be looking after a toddler to the point that they're miserable. But hey, your dad is busy. Would you take the little one to the toilet while I make breakfast? That just isn't abusive. People need to stop being entitled idiots. I'm going with everyone's the idiot here because Joshua, Lisa, and Sophia shouldn't have to be on the hook for taking care of the kids. Still, it isn't unreasonable to expect a 21-year-old who isn't in school, isn't paying rent or financially contributing to help around the house by helping with their younger siblings. It has to be explicitly stated, but it isn't crazy. And for your information, you can't ground a 21-year-old and still have a relationship with them. I, 35, have a stepdaughter, a young teen, who spends every other weekend at my home. My husband and I have a baby and 2 toddlers. My baby is super fussy. It's been awful. The doctor said she's okay, she's just colicky. She cries all night long. The past few months have been a nightmare. Working all day, no sleep at night. I am a super light sleeper. I've been canceling our weekends with my stepdaughter so my husband and I can catch up on sleep. My stepdaughter decided to blast us on social media. She said my dad and stepmom can't even take care of the kids that they have, yet they keep having more. So much for a reliable, loving parent. I followed my husband's family asking them what was wrong. She let them know that we keep canceling on her time. It's not just her time, it's her dad's too. It's been a very difficult situation for both of us. My in-laws are now saying that we're the idiots in this situation. They stopped helping us with the younger kids altogether. Am I the idiot here? I feel like it's just circumstances. No one asked for a colicky baby. You are the idiot. You just can't cancel being a parent because it's inconvenient. The colicky baby isn't your fault, but your solution is unfair to your stepdaughter. Her father's abandoning her and disappearing from her life. It would be best if you guys came up with another way of dealing with this. Exactly. All I'm hearing is, I'm going to put my parental duties on pause right now because I need more sleep. That's more important than spending time with my daughter. You're kidding me, right? You can't just cancel on one kid because of your other. I'm sorry, but this really makes you look like a bad parent. Something about the way OP keeps having a baby every year and how her stepdaughter said they keep having more instead of they had another one makes me believe that OP has treated her stepdaughter as second rate compared to her biological children. So while it usually is normal for older siblings to want to bond with their younger siblings, I doubt the stepdaughter really yearns to play third parent to the kid who seems to be her third replacement. After all, third time is the charm. OP apparently thinks approximately 4 days a month with her father is more than this child needs, and she should be happy to be shoved aside. After all, she's not OP's kid, so what does any of this kid's needs matter anyway? She's a background character in the story of OP's life, and apparently in her own father's too. My husband and I have 4 kids, 3 boys, Jackson, 20, Michael, nearly adult, Nicholas, teen, and a girl, Charlotte, younger teen. Before Charlotte, the last girl born into my husband's family was my husband's grandmother. When we announced that we were pregnant with a girl, his family went crazy. We've gotten more presents from his family for Charlotte than for all of our sons combined. Heck, we had a 2-bedroom house when we got pregnant with Charlotte, and his family bought us a 3-bedroom house so that she could have her own room. My mother-in-law and father-in-law set up a room for Charlotte in case we wanted a weekend off, and she immediately became the center of attention at family gatherings. I started working after I gave birth to Charlotte, and nearly every family member wanted to babysit. Charlotte has grown up extremely spoiled by these family members. Every birthday or holiday, she gets more presents than all the boys combined. She even gets presents on the boys' birthdays, and sometimes she gets nicer presents than they do. I've talked to them about treating the kids equally, and they said that they would, but nothing would change. I wanted to hire a babysitter, but my husband refused because his family was still willing to babysit for free. The boys don't like to see this side of the family anymore, but Charlotte loves them. So my mother-in-law and father-in-law opened a savings account with her so that they could give her money without her brothers or us knowing. Both of my husband's sisters-in-law pick Charlotte up from school and take her shopping and out for manicures. And when she has a day off from school, they go on day trips. Charlotte's birthday just passed, and she got a new iPhone 14 from her grandparents, a new iPad Pro, and accessories from her 2 nearby aunts, and the relatives that live a little further away sent thousands of dollars. The birthday party was the last straw. The people that sent Charlotte hundreds of dollars gave my younger 2 boys $20 and nothing for Jackson. Nobody wanted to come over for their birthdays, and nobody's ever gotten them a present like Charlotte's. I told my husband I don't want his family to see Charlotte until they can learn to treat the kids equally, but he says we can't keep them away from her, considering all they've done for us. Charlotte wants to keep in contact with them. They buy her whatever she wants and take her to Disneyland, Universal Studios, spa days, shopping on Rodeo Drive, etc., and treat her like a princess. My husband and I can't agree on what to do with his family. He doesn't want to do anything because they bought us a house, babysat for free for years, will most likely pay for her college and a car and a place to live while in college, and helped us get into a better financial situation. But then treating Charlotte like this is hurting the boys. Everyone's the idiot here. Where was the interest in setting boundaries for the last 15 years? Unfortunately, you are way too late on this one and now have a much harder job trying to set this boundary. You and your husband accepted a house from them, lots of presents, etc. If you wanted to teach your daughter about sharing, etc., and didn't want to hurt feelings, you could have taught your daughter when she was younger. But now, yeah, it's too little too late. Agreed. The time to act was over a decade ago. The boys' feelings are already hurt, and Charlotte is spoiled. But I guess a late wake-up call is better than no wake-up call. Favoritism hurts all children. Mom, take the iPhone 14 away and send it back to the grandparents. Man, this is all in all just horrendous parenting. Charlotte is in for a rude awakening when she enters the real world and realizes she's not everyone's special princess. Then again, the in-laws will bail her out, tell her nothing is her fault, and she'll never learn to stand on her own 2 feet. Charlotte will also probably wonder why her brothers don't talk to her and do things without her. Finally, she'll probably just say they're jealous. I would seriously consider some boarding school for your daughter while she'll be academically challenged, rewarded on merit, and not get away with her spoiled child crap. Bonus points if you can use it to limit contact with the in-laws, as in, she can't leave campus with them. This involves me, 24 female, and my sister, 23. We were really close for 10 years. I loved having a sibling so close in age. Sometimes I felt like my parents babied her more than was fair, but she and I were cool. She was a friend, not just my sister, and I would have done anything to protect and defend her. However, we both got busier for a while, and it was after the business started that I noticed I would get into trouble a lot more, and it never made sense. I was told I was leaving my sister behind and that I needed to learn to not be mean. My parents would talk about seeing me doing stuff I had never done. I was so confused. Then one night I was at a friend's house, and after returning home, I went upstairs. I heard talking downstairs, went down, and heard my sister saying that I had told her we could play together, but had ditched her for my friend instead, and never even told her. The next morning, Dad told me he remembered me promising my sister to play with her and how I never followed through, and that was not a good big sister move. I told him I never promised that. but he shut me down. This continued for months. She would say I had said something that I didn't, or that I was mean to her, that I let her be bullied, that I was pushing her away all the time and breaking promises. None of this was true. I was busier with school and extracurricular stuff, but we still spent time together. It wasn't as much, but we couldn't have spent the same time together. I told her to stop. She told me there was no way because I didn't get to ditch her for my friends, that she should have gotten all my spare time. I told her that wasn't fair, and she had friends too. Our relationship turned bitter on my part afterward. I started to hate her instead of loving her. We would fight anywhere and everywhere. Eventually, it built up, and when I was 17, she went to our high school principal and said I had cheated on a test and that I had told her at home. My parents were called, and I was investigated. Even though the school cleared me, my parents still believed it, and I missed out on a great opportunity because the allegations were still being investigated. I never forgave her for that. A couple of times after we both moved out, she told extended family members about all the bullying I subjected her to. It further reinforced my dislike of her, maybe even genuine hatred. Now I'm getting married. I asked my 2 closest friends to be my bridesmaids. My sister found out about this and told me I should have asked her, and she told me she wanted to do it. I told her there was nothing in the world that would make me ask her, and I would sooner have no bridesmaid than have her as one. She called me a witch, and now I'm getting hassled by my family too. My parents have also tried, but they're not even getting an invite because I blame them for believing all of this and not putting a stop to it. But I worry I crossed the line. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. They crossed the line, not you. When you want someone to be your bridesmaid, it's because she's important to you. Usually that's a sister, if you have one, because of what they mean to you. You don't feel this way about your sister. Furthermore, she did you wrong in so many ways and doesn't seem to feel sorry. So you would be right not to invite her at all. The same goes for your parents. Like, super not the idiot. She lied about and slandered you for years and now pops up pretty as you please, wanting to be a bridesmaid? No way. No lines crossed on your part. Lots of lines crossed on theirs. Password everything so she's not messing with the wedding. Maybe even hire security in case she and the parents decide to trash the wedding and reception. I'll never understand how siblings can be so jealous of their family members' happiness and success. It is truly a disgusting trait and shows a major lack of character. And your extended family jumping on the bandwagon? Have you ever told them what she did? Maybe it's time to put her on blast. I have zero empathy for people that actively work to hurt others. I feel extended family won't believe the systemic slander and bullying OP has gone through. They're so used to the other narrative that it may be difficult for them to think anything other than, oh, there goes OP, bullying her sister again, when the reality is the complete opposite. People don't like changing their minds. We don't share finances because that's what he wants. However, I got a raise in my salary, and now I earn 30% more than he does, and I noticed that he's been using this to ask me to pay for him and his friends. Whenever I say no, or why should I pay for this? He responds with, the 30%, that's why. He acts as if the 30% is unfair, or I don't deserve it. Several times he's tricked me into paying for his and his friend's meal by asking me publicly. First, let me say that I'm too nice to say no. I hate confrontation, especially when we're at a public place, like a restaurant, so I grin and pay. Last Tuesday, he asked me to join him and his buddies for dinner. I told him from the start I wasn't paying for their food, and he shouldn't expect me to. He said he's got this and no worries. We got to the restaurant, met his friends, and ordered food. In the middle of the meal, he leaned in and whispered that I would be paying for everything he and his friends ordered. I got so mad I whispered back, no, but he probably relied on me not causing a scene in public and in front of his friends. He said, you have enough money. You can pay for everyone's food. 30%, remember? I was fuming inside. Instead of reacting negatively and losing my temper, I waited till the bills arrived. They were already split from the start when we first ordered. I paid for mine, then I excused myself to the restroom. I then sneaked out, got into my car, and went home. I started getting phone calls from my fiance and then texts asking where I was. I texted back saying I didn't appreciate how he put me in this situation and basically tricked me into paying for his and his friend's food. I told him I went home and stopped replying. An hour later, he came and started yelling at me, calling me selfish, irrational, cheapskate, and childish for sneaking out like that and leaving him stuck with a bill he couldn't pay. He had to call his brother for help. We had a loud argument, then he walked out. His friends didn't speak to me about this, but he told me that they're disappointed in my behavior and are telling him to take time and reflect on the type of woman he'll marry. Am I the idiot for what I did? Is what he's expecting from me fair or justified? Why are you marrying someone who insists that his money is his money, but your money's also his money? Did he pay for you and your friends' meals every time when he was making more than you before your raise? The issue is that he's selfish and controlling and doesn't respect you, along with a nice dash of insecurity that he's no longer better than you because he made more. Now he has to prove he's better by making you serve him and pay for his every whim. Run away from this guy 30% faster. I promise nobody will be disappointed you're breaking off your engagement. He doesn't respect you, and that will not change with marriage. You're going to look back and say, wow, I dodged a major bullet. You're getting a double raise once you cut him loose. I bet his friends didn't say that, not unless he lied to them in the first place. Not the idiot. Unless you plan to stay with this dishonest, abusive user, I feel like you're the one that needs to do the reflecting on the type of man you'll be married to. I'm so bored of men calling women irrational when they don't do as they're told. I just started a new job and became eligible for benefits. One of the benefits is a free $25,000 life insurance policy. I decided to sign up because it's free, so why not? So I put the primary beneficiary as my dad and the secondary as my fiance. If it pays out, it would pay out 50-50. They need the beneficiary's info, name, date of birth, and contact information, and it asks for their social security numbers too. I called my dad and told him what I was doing. He gave me the info, and that was that. I called my fiance and asked him, and he immediately got defensive. Why do you need that? What is this for? Valid questions, but I had told him at the beginning what it was for, so he could be the beneficiary of my life insurance policy. This isn't some scam website. It's through our HR health benefits. He refused to give it to me and was getting angrier and more upset the more I pushed for it, until finally I gave up and didn't add him because it wouldn't let me add him because the SSN number was a required field. When we got home, I asked him what the big deal was, and he basically said that information is his information and he's not giving it to me. I pointed out to him that since we're getting married, I will at some point likely need his social. I pointed out he wanted to be added to my insurance after we got married. His job doesn't offer any, and that I would need his SSN for that. Bank accounts, mortgages, and credit cards. I'm not posting it on the internet. It's so he can get money if I die. Anyway, long story short, we argued, and he's adamant his information is his information, and he doesn't want it to be in the system. I reminded him he was in the military, FFS. He's already in the system. Finally, I told him that I won't add you to my insurance or my health benefits because I can't add you without that information. He responded by saying that I was extorting and blackmailing him, and then he left for his brothers. Am I the idiot? His information is his information, and he doesn't want it to be in the system. I'm sorry, but I'm laughing my head off reading this. He doesn't want his SSN to be in the system? Where the heck does he think his SSN comes from? You exit your mother's womb with your social security number tied around your big toe when you're born. It's the father's responsibility at that point to fight the hospital staff, ensuring that they don't take the number first and add you to the system. Oh, wait until he finds out about driving licenses and passports. Not the idiot OP, but I'd hold off on setting a wedding date. This is really odd behavior and makes me suspicious of exactly why he doesn't want to share this. I mean, you're giving him money if something happens to you. When you go on his insurance or he goes on yours, you'll need his SSN. When you file taxes as married, filing jointly, the SSN is on the front page of your 1040. He can't run away from this forever. Is it possible that he's not here legally? Is it possible he's using someone else's SSN? Is it possible he has some record he hasn't told you about? It may all be innocent, but his reaction, leaving to go to his brother's, is way out of line with how you'd expect a fiancé to react to something like this. Maybe you should research this guy. It seems like he's hiding something. My 34 male, good friend 27 male is on the spectrum. I don't know if how I'm speaking about this will come across as offensive, but he's on the less severe side of things. He's verbal and can read social cues decently well. The only tells are his stems. He rocks almost constantly if he's sitting still. A few verbal stems, etc., and his aversion to a few sensory-related things. It's not something that he shares with a lot of people. He got a diagnosis later in life since his parents just thought he was a weird kid while he was growing up. His confiding in me about this didn't change anything between us, but some of the stories he has shared broke my heart a little and have made me feel more protective of him. Due to the AC going out in his apartment and being unable to be fixed for a few days, he came to stay with my wife and me. He can't sleep unless it's on silk sheets, so I ran out and bought some the day he asked to sleep over. I wanted him to be as comfortable as possible. Sensory issues aren't simple requests, they're genuine needs. My wife was already slightly annoyed and pointed out I hadn't done that for our other guest. Then halfway through his second day with us, he pulled me aside and asked me to fix whatever smell was going on in the house, that it was hurting his head and bothering him. After some investigation, we figured out that it was the perfume my wife was wearing. I politely asked my wife if she would go get changed and shower so that my friend could enjoy dinner with us. She not only refused, but she tried kicking my friend out for being high maintenance. I put an end to that quickly. I realized she's not clued in on his needs, but he is a guest in our home all the same. His diagnosis is his to share and his alone. I've refused to budge on any of these issues. According to an email he got, the AC in the building should be back up and running again tomorrow. My wife booked a hotel for the night and insisted that one of them, either herself or my friend, go and stay there for the night. My friend is clearly distraught over this, and I just can't send him off on his own when he's clearly upset after all that's happened. Am I the idiot? You are the idiot. He's a full-grown adult with his own apartment. If he needs silk sheets, he can remember to bring them. If he's reacting to your wife's perfume, he can politely explain and ask that she either not wear it or excuse him for avoiding her in her home. His needs are real, but they're not an excuse to impose on others unduly. At this point, he's responsible for managing his own needs. Yes, you are the idiot. You're making unreasonable requests, given that she doesn't know about his diagnosis. To her, he's just a super fussy, high-maintenance guest that's making her feel uncomfortable in her own home, and you're choosing to prioritize him over her. That's what gets me. They're keeping her clueless about the situation, then acting shocked when she's upset. Knowing about the friend's diagnosis and that these are genuine accommodations instead of just fussiness or entitlement, I still think OP is overly accommodating. And OP was rude to demand his wife's shower instead of simply explaining the situation. I would think OP is bad crap crazy, and his friend is the house guest from Hades. No wonder she wants him gone. If you want to save your marriage, apologize to your wife. If not, go build your friend an art room. I, 34 female, have 2 kids, a young female teen and a male tween, with my ex, 34 male. We divorced 9 years ago. I married my husband 5 years ago. He has 3 children, teen male, young male teen, tween female, from his previous relationship. And we have 3 children together, toddler female, young toddlers male and female. My daughter and youngest stepson are in 8th grade together. One of my stepson's friends, a young teen male, lived in India for 10 years. He's white and was born in the US like his parents. When he was 18 months, his parents moved to India for his father's career. They came back last year and started 7th grade at my son's school. My stepson and his friends became friends with him pretty soon after 7th grade started. The boy is an athlete like my son and joined the same soccer league as them. Since he grew up in India, he still has a lot of connections to culture, food, and sports, and has taught my stepson and his friends about Indian sports, which made them interested in Hindi, and he often eats Indian food. It's nice to see my stepson and his friends be excited to learn about different cultures. They're very sweet, laid-back, and accepting dudes. A few weeks into the school year, my stepson and his other friends noticed that the boy was acting different, less open, and cheerful than normal. They knew something was up and interrogated him until he admitted that he was being bullied at lunch for the food he brought. Last year, they had the same lunch period as him. This year, none of the boys do, and was being cyberbullied. My son and his friends told him that they were going to go to the principal to report this. He then showed them the DMs from Instagram. My stepson saw his stepsister, and the group of girls she was friends with were the bullies. They were at a restaurant together when he told them. When my son came home, he was very angry and upset, which is odd since he's very bubbly typically. The next day, I got a phone call from their school, telling me my daughter had been given in-school suspension for bullying. I thanked them and told them that I'd deal with my daughter. When they got home, I told my stepson and daughter that I needed to talk to them separately. I talked to my daughter and she said, "It's not that serious," and didn't show any remorse. I then spoke to my stepson, who was crying and very upset. I calmed him down and thanked him for stepping in for his friend. We also bought him and his friends some gifts off of eBay because we were proud of them. After talking to my husband and my ex, we agreed on a punishment. We took my daughter's phone away and gave her a flip phone. My daughter lashed out, saying this was completely unfair, saying we overreacted. She called my parents and now they're saying I should be easy on her because kids aren't fully developed yet. Give her a break. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Oh, what's this? The consequences of my actions? She weaponized her access to cyberspace to harm another human being. You didn't overreact. You disarmed her until she could learn to be more responsible. As to your parents, they're right that kids aren't fully developed yet. That's why they require parenting. You did the right thing. Taking her shiny phone away and giving her a still functional communication one is being easy on her for bullying. You need to find out what else she thinks is not that serious. The fact that she hates this is exactly why it can impact her. If the daughter isn't developed enough to know cyberbullying is wrong, she's not developed enough to have internet or social media access. But OP, you guys need to do more. I would work to teach her empathy because her lack of empathy is really concerning. She's young enough that you can still help her to become a better person, but it needs to be about educating and not just punishing. That said, it also sounds like she could use some therapy, and when she can give a sincere apology, I'd also encourage her to do that.